Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening. If you are listening in, hello, everyone. Thanks for um, listening in. And so I had an article that I was viewing, and I thought I would talk about it because there's been a lot of things that have been happening lately with social media, a lot of changes that have been made. And some of this is because of some of the things that have happened more recently. Um, if those of you are aware, and those I'm sure are aware of the Logan Paul incident, where this guy, he was really popular in social media, and he's had lots of fan base, and he's not the only one. There are others that are on these websites, and I don't even view all of these different YouTubers. I've Every now and then I'll look at different YouTube videos, or I'll look at different, content. I never really look at the gamer content or the comedy content, rarely. Um, I usually look at things that have to deal with politics or like social issues in neighborhoods. And every now and then I like to listen to different videos of music and artists, different music artists. And so you can see that in some of the things that I post. I'm very honest and candid about that. A lot of times I'll even post some of the music that I've listened to, or maybe something that I've found intriguing in a video that I saw that was pretty like amusing, or maybe it's something different, something I've never seen before, or maybe it's something that is fairly new, or it could be something that's from like a long time back and reminiscing on times when things were maybe a little bit different in music industry as it is different today. And so a lot of times my videos content has usually been a lot about blogging, talking, people, social issues, politics, opinions, and opinionative, and to that effect. And there was a time, I guess, that I realized that you could get like a little bit of money, like if you have so many views of videos and fan base, and however that goes. But I was not really dead set on that. My thing is just the whole thing of being able to voice opinions. Um, every now and then you'll get people who are oppositional. Some people are more candid and more frank about their opinions. And then some people are just blatantly hateful. They'll come off as abusive. Some will even post threats to other people. And, I noticed that over time, different things that you say, maybe they disagree with you. They don't even know what you look like. They disagree with you. Instead of them putting, maybe a point out that is not threatening, it's non-threatening. It may be some vivid points of view, of opinion. It's never threatening, never causing a harm or potential harm to anyone. It's just basically putting your opinion out there. I've gotten opinions on different issues where people maybe agree or disagree, or they're middle of the road in certain issues. But there's different types of people. Some will put things, they don't really have, they have an opinion, but it's to the point to where they're hateful. And they maybe don't like certain groups of people for whatever the reasons. Their bias and prejudices in there. And sometimes people have an underlying agenda. And so they'll post things and they'll try to use other people or other reasons, but they won't be honest and say it's really how they really feel about a particular situation. And so they try to pin the blame on some particular group, and it comes off as either misogynistic, or it'll come off as racist, or it'll come off as prejudiced or biased or bigotry in some shape, form, or fashion. And so a lot of times these things end up rubbing people the wrong way, or they may have to call authorities. I noticed that over the years since I've been on social media, I've seen where they had a feature where you can report people if you feel threatened or you feel like they're threatening someone else. And so now it's gotten to the point to where they have censored a lot of videos. They've demonetized a lot of videos. And some people already know that these things have gone on. Some people have gotten dinged. In other words, they've gotten banned from certain things, or they've gotten videos taken down because maybe they might have offended a particular protected class or group of people. Maybe they said something that sound like it might be promoting terrorism or violence towards particular individuals. So this is where we're at. And so I was reading something in an article that Facebook was trying to do where they were going to prioritize the news feeds. And so what is going on now? Facebook. I was looking at an article. So the article reads, Facebook's latest news feed update will prioritize trustworthy publishers. And so it's back and forth, and there's yay and nay, mixed feelings about this. And so I'm just going to read some of it, or at least go as far as I can. Facebook's gearing up to prioritize news content by publishers a group of Facebook users have deemed trustworthy. Facebook's head of newsfeed, Adam Mosseri, said that the company surveyed a diverse and representative sample of US-based people about their familiarity and trust in various sources of news. So he wrote this in a blog post. That data, Mosseri said, will serve to inform news feed rankings. The plan is to first do this in the US before rolling it out internationally. So it starts small, and then to my knowledge, what this is saying, it's going to go out more globally. And this could be coming from a couple of issues. The first thing that pops into my mind when it says the data from Mosseri said, he said it will serve as to inform news feed rankings. The plan is to first do this in the US before rolling out internationally. So when I hear that, the first thing that I'm thinking about is the November elections, when there was that big issue with the Russian hacking of the votes. And all those news feeds and all those things that were coming up on Facebook and various social media sites, that they claimed that Russian hackers were interfering with the votes and persuading people of the US to vote for particular people because of bias or because of whatever their views were. They were really making people sway towards voting for people that they knew that this person is probably not really going to be a good candidate. They didn't care because it's not their country. It's not their issues that they have to deal with because it's not affecting them immediately. So that's the first thing that pops up in my head, is the hacking of the votes. So, and then underneath all of that is all the things that we are dealing with, or we have seen, on social media, where people will post horrible things about suicide, threatening to kill themselves, or they're threatening to kill someone else. They've even posted murder on social media, or abuse, some harmful issues that come up, where in the past we've seen people being tortured, and people will videotape it and then upload it on social media. And so all that other stuff falls underneath the hacking of the votes. And so going on with the article, it says that means starting next week, publications deemed trustworthy by people using Facebook may see an increase in their distribution. Missouri wrote, publications that do not score highly as trusted by the community may see a decrease as part of the Facebook's ongoing quality surveys. So Facebook will now ask people if they're familiar with the news source and if they trust it. So they're going to get a consensus from different people about different news feeds, news sources, whether they trust it or not, if they're familiar with it or not. So Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg provided a big or a bit more detail about the thinking behind it in a post. So the idea is that some of the news organizations are only trusted by the readers and the watchers, and others are broadly trusted across more of a mainstream or society, even those who don't follow them directly, Zuckerberg wrote. So we eliminate the sample of those who aren't familiar with the source so that the output is a ratio of those who trust the source to those who are familiar with it. So I'm going to stop in that area right there. So let's pick African American. African Americans are probably assuming they may be interested in looking at content that deals with other African American or African American social issues. White people will probably look at issues that deal with white issues or issues that are happening in their community. And other groups will also follow suit, whatever their culture or background is. Like you've got people that are of Latin culture that may look at, websites that are in Spanish and they focus on social issues in the community that deal with the Spanish culture or the Salvadorian culture or Mexican culture or whatever background that they are accustomed or feel comfortable or in the language and the culture with, or they feel they can trust, that is more using talking points that they can relate to, that they feel are more cultural sensitive and have more sensitivity about who they are as people. So this could be a problem because if you have, let's say what we all say as mainstream media, which is supposed to be inclusive of everyone, is not always viewed as inclusive of everyone's views and everyone's opinions and how they feel about particular situations in their communities. There's some news you turn on, they hardly ever talk about certain communities until something bad happens or until something that is like really big that stands out that you can't escape it. Everybody's kind of got to know about it because it's just the biggest thing that's happening right then and there. And so this could be a problem. And this is where I'm basing it off of as. So to go on with this article, it's saying prioritizing news from trusted publishers is part of Facebook's broader effort to revamp the news feed and encourage meaningful social interactions with family and friends over passive consumption, Zuckerberg wrote. Last week, Facebook announced major changes to news feeds, which entails less public content like news and nonsense from brands. Facebook also now expects news and other public content to make up for 4% instead of about 5% of the content in the newsfeed, so Zuckerberg said. While the amount of public content you see will be less than before, Zuckerberg says the update won't change the amount of news you see. And so it goes on to read, it will only shift the balance of news that you see towards sources that are determined to be trusted by the community. Okay, what community is that? I'm just throwing that out there as a question Zuckerberg wrote. So my hope is that this update about trusted news and last week's update about meaningful interactions will help make time on Facebook well spent, where we're strengthening our relationships, engaging in active conversations rather than passive consumption. And when we read news, making sure it's from high quality, trusted sources. So was originally appeared on TechCrunch. So also, I also saw something where they said there was a feature, and I don't know if it's only in Facebook. I think it's on other. It's going to be on another social site where you can you can basically like if there's certain content that you don't want to come up on your feed in some of these sites, you can like even in YouTube, you could put on there not interested, and it won't come up. It won't pop up. And you can make the choice of putting that in there, and you could say even why, so they won't put that in your news in your feeds. If it's something that is against your maybe against your religious beliefs, or it's something against who you are as a person, if it's deemed as racial content that maybe talking about people of your culture in a negative way where it is not informing you, but is basically putting you down and belittling you as a people, um, or your gender, or who you date or who you don't date, or if you're single or not single. And so there's a lot of videos that come up on YouTube that will post a lot of things that people are not in agreement with. They didn't sign up for this. And you're seeing a lot of that. And it just pops up in your news feeds, even if you don't want it. And you might have something that's opposing issues of a particular subject, and but those issues that are going against what you believe in seem to crop up underneath your views. Some of that may be by accident, some of it may not be by accident. Maybe they have just two opposing sides and they happen to just clash together in that news feed. So people who are for this view can look at this content, and then people can look at the counter content. And so this article that I found about Facebook's latest newsfeed update will prioritize trustworthy publishers. It's by a Megan Rose Dickey in TechCrunch. It's not too long, put this out about 23 hours ago, and it's in the business section on Yahoo. And so I thought this was interesting, this article, at least interesting enough to mention it. And so again, I'm going to just say the article. It's Facebook's latest news feed update will prioritize trustworthy publishers. And so I thought that was interesting. Now, in a sense that it could be something positive, the reason I'm saying this is because feel, oh, this is a positive move because it'll get rid of all the read. And I did mention that in a previous video about sometimes you'll get people that all they'll post is about things that are only on talking points that they're involved in. Now, I did read some of the comments underneath this article, but it was more, more people that were responding that were from the far right, like, and it was their opinion is that Facebook is counteracting against them as conservatives and don't want to hear the conservative talking points, and they don't want to allow for them to be able to see the content that they want to see. even if it's something that could be racist, even if it's something that could be sexist, even if it's something could be offensive against a protected group. And so, along with the whole lines of people's rights. So I would I would believe that it's more you know, you have some people that are on the extreme side and some people who are not as extreme as others. Like, I guess, how would I use this as a good example would be, I'll take this topic that comes up a lot, and feminism. And in the Black community, a lot of times you'll have these people that'll say all these negative comments about feminism. And the first main thing that comes up is that it's something that white women created, or it's a Western viewed concept, and that feminism is coming from the white people, and that Black women shouldn't ascribe to feminism, or they shouldn't follow feminism because it's a white centered concept. And so, in other words, as if Black females don't have some of the same issues as white females do. This is dealing with a gender issue here. And so, Black women have babies, Black women rear children, Black women, have relationships or don't have relationships, have marriages and divorces or separations, or they're single parents, or sometimes we have issues now, which I hear a lot of rhetoric about, people claiming that a majority of Black successful women are single, and as if it's some kind of epidemic. And so you'll hear a lot of talking points that are for or opposed to, certain issues surrounding those topics. A lot of times I feel like feminism is not about bashing men as so much our white thing, as so much as some people perceive it to be. And right away, people won't want to hear anything else you have to say after that, and they'll want to, like, oh, I'm done with this person. Boop. Because they don't want to receive the fact that you have women who are not living back beyond the 1960s. They are more independent, more educated. And, if they do desire companionship, it is not about someone not only being the breadwinner, but it's more about actually coming to a relationship with something other than just sex. It's not about sex. It's about actually coming to a relationship to actually have a real, genuine relationship. The sex thing is last on the list, because you don't know what that person's life has been like before they met you. You don't know what they might have had an experience with, or a non-experience with. And you don't want to, if those relationships are just geared around only sex, then they're probably not going to last very long. So a meaningful relationship is going to be more than just, quote unquote, we're going to sleep together. And so some people are really not past that. Their mindset is immature. And so they don't think about, there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days. Kids change the whole matrix of your relationship. If you met and you didn't have kids, and then you produce a child, or you decide to adopt a child, or kids somehow come in the mix, maybe someone already previously has children, you have to think about, okay, so it's not just about us two, it's about the kids and us, and the things that you do as just a couple with no children is different when children are involved. And so there's a lot involved in relationships other than just what people that are immature would assume it to be. And then, the mindsets of some people is so immature where they look at it as it's just about, you know, a, basically just about only their self gratification. So you have all these different issues that crop up. And so you have um, news feeds that will come in opposed to feminism and news feeds that are for feminism. And then you have some people who are really radical feminists who whom their whole ideology might be a little more harder and aggressive on the issues. And then you have some people who just their idea of feminism might be a totally different way of looking at things. So what I'm saying is not everybody, again, not everybody has the same ideas or the same exact views or points of opinions. And so even within those little groups that you would class, they tend to lump everybody in one bowl. So if it's feminism, oh, all feminists think alike. No, they don't. And so it's the same thing as saying, well, all Black people do the same thing, and all Latin people do the same. All white people think alike. All white people are racist. That is not true. So it's the same thing with feminism. So when you get these feeds, there'll be positive feeds saying, oh, women's working, encouraging women to get out there and, educate themselves and become astronauts and do all these things and not feel like you can't do math and you can't do certain things because it was taught to you that one group is better at doing something than another because of gender. So these are the feeds that come up. And so you'll get like little small feeds that'll come up. And then you'll get like a mainstream feed, CBS News, MSNBC, and then NBC and all these. And they're supposed to be mainstream where they're supposed to be inclusive of everyone. So they're supposed to include all different people. And it's more trustworthy. It's not what we hear, that quote fake news. It's not fake news, although lately we've been hearing almost everybody is fake news in the eyesight of one particular individual. But this is coming up in this article is that what they're trying to do is they're trying to weed out all of the fake news or the bad news or the not credible news or the untrusted news. It's not really news. It's just somebody that's trying to intervene that shouldn't be there. Or is it people who are trying to voice their opinions and their voices are not really credible because they're not famous, they're not in mainstream news, they don't have that tag saying Fox News, or they don't have that tag saying NBC or ABC. So it's not trustworthy. It's only fan-based, or it's only a particular group-based. So it's that's why I say this whole article is either yay or nay on it. And I get where he's coming from. You do have people that will put in things that are really crazy, like, suicide and stuff like that. And, with those, you want to just take those out of there. You want to document where is it coming from? Where's their IP address? Who is this coming from? It looks like they actually killed somebody. This is not fake. This is not fake news. This is real news, and it's bad news. It's violent news. And so there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of stuff that has gone on even, in the past. And it's so much, I can't even go over all of it, but, some stuff I haven't even viewed all of it. I've heard from some YouTubers said they've seen some things that were really disturbing, people posting how to hurt other people, plotting, how to make bombs, you know, things like that. And it's just crazy. I don't know. It's gotten out of control. So I guess with that, that may be where some of this is coming from as well. But, you know, and then you've got people who are like really, really, you know, in the past, I saw something on YouTube where the woman, she claimed to be, um, she was a non-feminist, and she was saying that she was for men's rights. Although this woman was a female, but if you look at her, the way she dressed, the way she portrayed herself, I'll just be honest. She looked to me as though she was a lesbian. And I'm not saying this to bash people that are in that group, but I felt like she was doing this. Maybe she was angry and she was in denial about something. And it just didn't make much sense to me. And I didn't get it. And I was like, why are you doing this? You know, and I was trying to figure out. And then, you know, the way she would dress like a man and cut her hair like a man. And she was claiming to be for men's rights, and I just thought it was the weirdest thing I had ever seen, and I listened to some of the things that she had posted. She had also been to some, like, forums, and people actually had her to show up, and then there were a couple of guys, I guess they figured out where her stance really was. They felt like she was a fraud and that she was basically appealing to the anger from men who felt like maybe they'd been slighted because of feminism. And this woman was basically milking them. And so she was using them as her target group fan base. And so she got really popular. She may even still be there because on YouTube they have these groups. They have, there's women groups too. They have a Wegto, women going their own way, a Megto. That's where it started, Megto, men going their own way. With the women's group, I felt like that was a counter active group against the Megto group. I didn't even know what the heck it was until I started looking at the video and the feeds kept popping up. When you look on a specific subject like feminism or misandry or misogyny, specific subjects that deal with gender issues, because this was where the gender war thing was a big thing and still is. Why we're having the Women's March today and DTLA. I started seeing these other crazy videos from people who claim that they're against feminism, but there is something behind it. You best believe. And then some people they see the anger out there of particular groups, and they say, you know, I can make a lot of money if I just appeal to this audience and say the right thing, do the right thing, dress the right way, or you know, get them worked up. And so even with other topics like there was a particular site. And this guy used to be a rapper in the 90s. He was real popular. I'm not going to say the names of these people. And some of you might figure it out. He had a woman on his show. And he's got a podcast now. I say there's a lot of them. You'll see videos like that on YouTube where this person used to be a rapper in the 90s. You don't see them ever anymore. They're not making albums. They're not making the money they used to make. They're not big as they used to be in the 90s. And they're kind of like, has-beens. And so they decide to get all, political and conscious. And they're involved in this movement, the conscious movement in the Black community. And so they make a slew of videos. They make a bunch of videos about different issues, social issues. And if they're for something or against something, they'll include that content. They'll do a lot of talking points. It's just like the same thing where you had Bill O'Reilly and he appeals to people who are on the far right and they're Republican and they're like real hardcore and aggressive conservative about issues that they're either opposed to or are for. And so he had a woman on his show, and the woman, she always tries to sell her books. And so this woman, this is the Black community. She tries to sell her books. And so I don't think her books are that popular, and they only appeal to certain people. And certain people of certain mindset or views, and they may find these books attractive, and others may find them very narrow and very narrow to one topic and one point of view. It may not be an agreeable reading material for all, or it may be enough reading material so people can understand, well, why do these people feel oppositional about the things that I believe in so heavily, or I don't have a problem with in particular. So those are the things that would pop up, and I would see this. And so if you said anything that was against whatever this certain people say, and some people will respond back. I've responded back to people and said my view of how I feel about something. I've never really called anybody out unless I feel like they really are getting under my skin. Now, I think that's happened to everybody. You go to this dark place where you just want to cuss people out. You may not know anything about them, but you're like so angry because they like strike a nerve, and you're like, wait a minute, what did you just say? But then you have to backtrack and say, you know what, this is just social media. People will post things on here. Some of these people might not even be from the same background. They just do it to tick you off so they can get a fight started. And some people will put stuff up there and they know what to say to get you angry. And a lot of times I don't take a lot of those people serious, because you don't know if they really are from that particular social class or group. And so they might just be doing it just to set a person off, to get a conflict started. So I think that's the reason why some of this stuff is now being examined, whether it's real news or fake news. So, and with that being said, I'm going to cut this video short. Leave your comment, subscribe, hit the like button, and, really, I'm not into the like button thing, but if you like it, like it. If or if you're in the middle of the road or you have nothing really to say, it's good content. What do you think about this Facebook thing? It didn't come about really until the net neutrality stuff. And so I feel like social media is under attack in a lot of ways. So give me your thoughts and your views on how you feel about all of it. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.